Hey, fantasy football fans, it's me, the fantasy football girl, coming at you with another edition of Vlog Times. Well, week 3, done and over with already, heading towards week 4. I can't believe how quickly the season is moving. I mean, I felt like all off season we were all so full of restless anticipation, and we're already talking about week 4. That being said, I hope none of you out there are 0-3 in any of your leagues, unless maybe it's just one which was auto-drafted and there was some confusion about waivers and settings, then maybe it's okay. Gulp. In any case, I want to thank all of you who have been tuning into the X's and Y's podcast, a his and hers guide to fantasy football. My co-host John Evans and I really appreciate it. And good news, we are now on iTunes. Yay! So be sure to check that out. If you like what you've been hearing, please subscribe and give us a good rating. We'd really appreciate that as well. Also, feel free to tweet us any lineup questions. We record on Wednesday evenings, so you can tweet me at the FF Girl, and we'll be sure to get those questions on the air. Oh, and I also want to shout out to Ben Hizoler of Legacy 10 Photography. He shot me this past Friday. We got some amazing things. I previewed one of the shots over the weekend on my Twitter feed. I think you guys are really going to like them. It was a really fun shoot, so we should be getting those up soon. Ben Hizoler of Legacy 10 Photography, total genius. All right, so enough with the announcements. Let's get to some bust bombs and bonuses. So you remember that team that I mentioned that might possibly, maybe, just hypothetically be 0-3? Well, that same team might possibly, maybe, hypothetically also have Richard Mendenhall on its roster, and that might possibly, hypothetically, maybe definitely be the reason he's my bust this week. In week 3 against the Colts, who, by the way, up until this point had the second worst fantasy defense against the rush, carried the ball 18 times for 37 yards and caught the ball 3 times for 9 yards. That's not a lot. In addition, here's a statistic that blew me away. In 3 weeks, Mendenhall has a total of 148 rushing yards. That's 23 less yards than Darren McFadden racked up in week 3 against the Jets. What's a Mendenhall owner to do? Trade, I say. Now, it's not completely his fault. I know that Mendenhall, I believe him to be a solid RB2 option and maybe even a decent RB1 low-end option. There are certainly haters out there, but I feel like he's dynamic and solid and can certainly produce. With this O-line, as banged up as it is, however, it's just not happening, and I don't see things getting any better. If you can't rush against the Colts, I don't really see you rushing against anybody else. Advice to Mendy owners out there, see if you can figure out a trade package. Package him up with somebody else. Maybe there's other places in your roster that you can afford to move things around. Maybe a dynamic quarterback or, I don't know, but you need to think about getting rid of him. I wouldn't put him on waivers, though, because stuff just gets hanky then. I'd try to stick to a trade. Maybe, possibly, just hypothetically. While Mendy owners think they had it bad, Ben Jarvis Green Ellis owners had it even worse, which is why the law firm is my bomb this week. Owners, you might want to start contemplating a divorce. BJGE carried the ball 9 times for 17 yards, and what's more painful was that he was stuffed at the goal line on 3 separate occasions. That sort of ineffectiveness does not sit well with the hoodie. So it wasn't surprising to see him benched in favor of the explosive rookie out of LSU, Stephon Ridley. Keep an eye on that kid. I don't think I trust BJGE next week against the Raiders, who are surprising everyone except maybe John Evans, but everybody else. At this point, I think you have to consider him a flex option and not much else. I know he's on every highlight reel, and I totally get that everyone is talking about him. But man, after watching Torrey Smith play on Sunday, he definitely deserves to be my bonus of the week. The rookie out of Maryland caught the ball 5 times for 152 yards and scored a whopping 3 touchdowns. He was lining up opposite Anquan Boldin in place of the injured Lee Evans, who might need to stay off the roster because, hello, Ravens, I think you found your deep ball threat. This kid is bananas, and he's only owned in 16% of Yahoo Fantasy Leagues. I think he deserves an automatic pickup, even if he's just a stash away. Maybe you can trade him high later, see what happens, but you want to keep your eye on this kid. Dynamic player. Maybe, hypothetically again, picked him up in a league myself. This has been Best Bombs and Bonuses for Week 3. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to check out the X's and Y's podcast, now on iTunes, as well as the Fantasy Football Guys podcast every week. Big thank you to Big Awesome Company, who gave me this t-shirt. It says, "You will trade with me." I thought it was appropriate since we talked about a lot of possible trades in the wake of Week 3. Thanks again. Win big.